How's it going, everyone? Welcome to my video. I know you're all excited to hear about how to make as much money as I posted in the title, and I promise you will learn how to do that. But first, I will need to let you know that this video is going to be a little bit longer because this method is kind of in depth, as there is multiple ways in order to make money with this method, and I will explain the money per hour with each step. Also, there's kind of like a disclaimer with money-making methods, and I'll explain that toward the end, so please watch the video all the way through, but I'm not going to start with that, just so I can get the information out to you in the beginning, let you guys know the exciting stuff first. Okay, so this method is basically enchanting onyx bolts. Now, I know some people are sitting back and like, enchanting onyx bolts is not that much money per hour. Well, it actually is. I'm not really sure when this changed, but it's right now currently an insane amount of money, like just unbelievable amount of money. And it depends on how you do it. You know, it's like cooking. You can sit there and cook on a stove, or you can 3-tick cooking and you get twice the amount of experience. This is a very similar concept, and I'll explain this all to you. So what you're going to do is you can start out by buying onyx bolts, or you can buy your onyx bolt tips, make your own onyx bolts using runite bolts, or you can start by the very basics and start by making runite bolts. So what I'm going to do here is to show you one method, and that is making your own runite bolts, and then moving into making your own onyx bolts out of the runite bolts. Okay, so something that should kind of be explained here is that making runite bolts themselves is about 500,000 experience per hour. As you can see, it is extremely quick. You can sit here, you can do this anywhere. So prepping this method on your own is really not a bad idea. The basic level in order to do runite bolts themselves is 69 fletching. All you have to do is have the runite bolts unfinished and the feathers. So we're going to get it about to 700 here, and then I'm not going to make you watch me any longer. I want to do this entire thing live, that way you guys can see the money-making method really is this much money, so I'm not going to be cutting this or editing or speeding it up. You can speed it up with your own controls on YouTube if you like. Okay, so right now we have our runite bolts. And if you go straight into the GE and buy runite bolts, you see the GE price is currently $590. These actually buy for $500 right now, so keep that in mind that runite bolts price is currently 500 gold. Alright, the next thing you're going to be looking at here is your onyx bolt tips. Now if you choose to buy onyx bolt tips and create your own runite bolts, I'll show you what level you need for that. You're going to have level 73 fletching in order to do this. And it gives you pretty decent fast experience. Nope, doesn't work. That kind of give you a little teaser as to what's about to happen actually. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fletch about... Oops. Yeah, maybe I should edit this video. Not any more coffee. Okay, so basically I'm going to fletch about 300 of these onyx bolts here, and then you will be able to see what we're talking about. You know, while I'm doing this, I'll actually go ahead and explain that stuff. So with every money-making method, if you're kind of new to my channel, every money-making method out there in the game usually changes price at one point or another. The only ones that really don't change price are like, you know, monster killing or whatever, and even those change price a lot. But the big money-making methods like this one, this is going to change pretty dramatically over time for sure. So make sure that by the time you're watching this video, this method is not dead. You can feel free to join the Fat Munchlax friend chat in order to talk to us and figure out if the method's still alive, and you can also test your own prices. If the prices are far off from what I currently told you, then the money-making method might not be alive anymore. Okay, so here we go. Onyx bolts themselves. Now you can make your own onyx bolts like I just showed. You'll get a little over 200,000 experience per hour by adding the onyx bolt tips to the runite bolts, and you'll get about 500,000 experience per hour making runite bolts yourself. I will let you know that making the runite bolts yourself will actually reduce your profit a little bit because runite bolts plus feather is more than buying the runite bolt for 500. The current price on onyx bolts themselves is 8,107. Now, another thing to keep in mind here is that making runite bolts and onyx bolt tips, if you see, these are 7,400. Runite bolts are 500. That's 7,900. So if you're only buying runite bolts plus your onyx bolt tips, that is going to give you a higher profit per hour doing the final method than buying the onyx bolts. But if you really want to do it without any prep or anything, buy the onyx bolts, buy your runes. Okay, here we go. Now I understand this is a little bit, bumpy or whatever, but yeah, bear with me here. Okay. So right here is basically how the main money-making method is done. You have the onyx bolts, you have the cosmic runes. So cosmic runes are 288. Death runes are 234. I was able to buy both these together for about 510 gold. If that gives you mind with the price of the runes, 510 gold for the runes for one of each. The reason why is because you're going to be using the Onyx Bolt E magic spell to enchant them. You need to have 87 magic in order to do this. It requires 1 death, 1 cosmic, and makes 10 bolts. That's very important. It makes 10 bolts each time. So when you're doing your math as far as costs, death rune, 1 death rune and 1 cosmic will make 10 bolts. So take the total cost divided by 10. So if it's 510, it's only 51 GP in rune cost per bolt. And this is basically what you do. You'll be sitting here and you'll be enchanting these bolts. So as you enchant them, you see you get 97 experience. It's fairly quick. Yep, pretty decent speed. So we'll go ahead and stop at 5, and then we'll show you the finished product. So the finished product here is Onyx Bolt E. It's very important to know that when you're doing Onyx Bolt E, that people do these for their alching. As you can see, Onyx Bolt E, 9,000 GP for the alch. So people will constantly buy these from the Grand Exchange for 8,600 or around that value, and that's basically what you need to know. So it's 8,600 roughly for the Onyx Bolts E. Do not sell them immediately because there's not that, people don't buy these all the time because of how expensive they are. So put these in there, let them sit, they will sell. So 8,600 each on the Onyx Bolts, and if you remember our Onyx Bolts right here, if you bought these from the GE, 8,100 a piece, plus the 51 each over here, 8,150. Onyx Bolts E is a total value of 8,600. So if you're doing that, you're going to make about 450 each, I believe. 400, 500, about 450 to 550 a piece is what you're going to make if you're buying your Onyx Bolts and your runes. If you just choose to make them yourself, your total cost over here is 79.50. That makes a 650 profit each on Onyx Bolts E. That's quite a bit of money. Now here's the thing though, if you're sitting back and you're like, wait a minute, calculations are not making any sense, Fat Snorlax, you're a retard. Well, here's what I'm going to show you. Now this is actually I completely found an accident. Everybody who was in my friend chat knows I found this on accident. It was completely unintentional, and I'm going to show you something cool. So as you saw, when you cast the Enchant Onyx Bolts E spell, it goes pretty slowly. Well, the same thing with 3-tick cooking, except this is not 3-tick. You can hold down the space button, which selects the enter, and then you can just spam click the Onyx Bolts. As you see, it is ridiculously fast. Not only is it ridiculously fast to make these bolts, but you're getting a 97 EXP drop every single time. If you use any kind of boosts, you're going to get mad. And you see like the double stacked right there. Sometimes it will double stack. When you're casting this spell, you don't actually go by any game ticks. You can double stack on 1 game tick. And look, we're already done. Okay, so what that calculates out to is I found that you can the maximum number of times you can cast this spell is 120 times per minute. Keep in mind, that's really going to hurt your hand. But by using that math, if we were to make these Onyx Bolts ourselves, so making them with the Onyx Bolt tips and then tipping the Runite Bolts, that's 650 each. So after you've already prepped, so you prepped and so you make them for 79.50 each. So after your prep is complete, the amount of money that you will make enchanting those bolts is going to be 650 each times 10. So 6,500 is the profit that you're earning every click. So every spell cast is 6,500 gold. Take that times 120 times per minute. You have 780,000 gold profit per minute. Now take that times 60 for the full hour. And if you do this for the entire hour, you get a grand total of 46,800,000 gold per hour. Keep in mind, that's only if you make your own stuff. If you don't make your own stuff, you can expect anywhere from 450 to 550 gold per cast, per bolt. So we'll go with a lower number, because I get so many people that are like, oh, these numbers, that's not realistic. So we'll go with the lower number just for the people who like to complain. So 450 gold times 10 is 4,500 gold. Cast that 120 times per minute is 540,000 gold. Take that times the full hour, 32,400,000 gold. So 32,400,000 gold is if you just go buy the stuff right off the GE with no prep. All in all, it's probably going to be a bit faster money in total if you do the 32,400,000 per hour. The reason for that being that you're not taking the time to make the bolts yourself, which would, in a grand total of doing this all day, you're going to earn money if you just sit there and spam the 32 million per hour rather than trying to prep for the other method. But if you want the fletching experience along with making mad money, then prep them yourself. It's not bad. You can do it anywhere. You can bank stand. You can do whatever the heck you're doing. So that's really about it. So in the very end, like I said, I wanted to let you guys know a couple things. Basically, it was just testing your prices. Prices on these will probably change. Due to the fact there is an ALK value for the Onyx Bolt E, this method is probably going to stay alive a little bit longer. Also, something with a money requirement. These bolts are not cheap. They are not anywhere near cheap. If you look at the price checker, okay, so let me do a little bit of extra math here for you. Oh, wow, I'm completely off track. I forgot to mention to you guys the XP per hour. You saw it in the title, but let me just explain how I got to that number. 9070 XP per cast times 120 times per minute is 11,640 experience per minute, which is insane. Take that times a full hour is 698,400. There are people that have just ridiculous cat-like reflexes and might be able to spam it for the entire hour, which brings you to 700,000 magic per hour is going to be the total EXP per hour. And that is just that is insane. Keep in mind that is only enchanting. That's not if you're sitting there making the bolts yourself. Okay, so what I want to show you is the money requirement to do this. And yeah, I realize the video is getting kind of long. If you want to cut it off here, that's totally fine. But if you guys want to see a little bit more in depth, then feel free to hang out. As always, subscribe and subscribe so you guys can hit the most recent stuff. And for everybody sticking around, let's go a little bit more in depth. So Onyx Bolt tips, 800 of these is going to be, wait, see, oh, it's still in ALK values. 800 of these is going to cost you almost 6 million gold. Now you have to remember that you can cast this spell 120 times per minute. Now, that's not 120 bolts, guys. It's not 120 bolts. That is 1,200 bolts that you're making per hour. I mean, sorry, wow, yeah, sorry. 1,200 bolts per minute. So in a total hour, you are going to be making 72,000 bolts. So that is where this method is going to run into a huge problem with a lot of people, and I apologize. If I had a way of making it cheaper for you, I would, but I did find this method. It's out there for people who are able to afford it. I really apologize for the people who are not going to be able to afford it right away. There's not really anything I can do about that. 72,000 bolts per hour is how much you're going to make. And if you add that up times the 8,600 final, that means you're going to have 620 million gold per hour in order to do this method. So yeah, that is a huge block to a lot of people. But keep in mind though, just because you can't do it for an entire hour, if you can do it for 15 minutes, you're still making a lot of money per minute. You can always make them, put them in for sale. When you after you get the money back, make them again. And then eventually, you're going to be making a lot of money, and you're going to be able to get to higher amounts to do this. For the people that have like a 10 billion bank, they can sit here and do this all day. But for the average Joe, you're probably not going to be able to do this for even the full hour. So that's something else you should keep in mind. But it is extremely lucrative for those who can afford to buy the supplies. 700,000 experience per hour plus over 48 million gold per hour. That's just insane. I had no idea that you could spam click the freaking enchant button. Like, holy cow, who would have thought? And then it double stacks sometimes on the game ticks. Absolutely insane. Well, all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Thank you for sticking around for the entire video. If you did, be sure to mention in the friend chat that I have a turtle named Winston, and then if you let me know that in the friend chat, I'll know you saw the entire video, and you'll become my best friend, and I will be shipping you a linear jet. What is a linear jet? I have no idea, but I'm going to invent one, and I'm going to ship it to you. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you guys want to see more videos. Join Fat Munchlack's friend chat to chat with us and check out to see if the method is still alive. If it's still alive, then it's probably not going to say anything in the title. But if it's outdated, it's probably going to say outdated in the title. But it doesn't always do that, so just be sure to check your prices or check in with us. And that's really about it. If you feel like buying me a coffee for making this method, then you can hit the donate button and throw in $2 and I'll be able to buy a coffee and I will thank you. Just joking around. All right, guys, I will see you guys later.